My parents blamed me for my brother's divorce, saying I turned his wife against him. I cut contact and moved on. That was 2 months ago. Today they're begging me to help with his legal fees. Look, I never thought I'd be the type to air family drama on Reddit, but here we are with a Bud Light in my hand at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday, typing this mess out because I honestly don't know what else to do. Sometimes life hits you like a freight train, and you just gotta roll with it, you know? So, let me paint you a picture of my family dynamic. Growing up, my older brother Jake was basically the golden child. Star quarterback in high school, got into state on a football scholarship, landed a decent job at some tech company after college. Meanwhile, I was just the little sister who was decent at school but never really stood out. Classic middle-class American family stuff, nothing too crazy. Jake married his college sweetheart Sarah about 5 years ago. Real picture-perfect wedding. You know the type. Pinterest-worthy with mason jars and string lights everywhere. Sarah was honestly cool as heck. She worked as a nurse, loved hiking, made these insane chocolate chip cookies that could probably cure depression. We got along great, which apparently was my first mistake. The thing is, Jake started changing after they got married. Not immediately, but gradually. Like when you don't notice your favorite jeans getting tighter until suddenly, they don't fit anymore. He became controlling in ways that made me super uncomfortable. Started making comments about what Sarah wore, who she hung out with, even tried to convince her to quit her nursing job because it was too stressful, and he could provide for both of them. Sarah would text me sometimes, just casual stuff at first. Hey, what do you think about this dress? Or, Jake says this color makes me look washed out, but I love it. Little things that individually seemed harmless, but together painted this picture that made my stomach turn. The breaking point came last Christmas. We were all at my parents' house. You know how it is. Cramped living room, football game blaring on the TV, mom's famous green bean casserole that nobody actually likes but everyone pretends to love. Sarah mentioned wanting to pick up extra shifts at the hospital to save for a vacation she'd been dreaming about, some hiking trip to Colorado. Jake straight up shut her down in front of everyone. We've talked about this, babe. You work enough already. Besides, I already booked us a cruise for next year. The way he said it, with this dismissive little laugh, made everyone uncomfortable. You could feel the tension thick as peanut butter. Later, when Jake went out to grab more beer from his truck, Sarah cornered me in the kitchen while I was helping Mom with dishes. She looked exhausted, like she hadn't slept in weeks. He books everything without asking me, she whispered, glancing toward the door. The cruise, our anniversary dinner, even chose our new couch without letting me see it first. When I try to bring it up, he says I'm being ungrateful. I dried my hands on the dish towel, trying to figure out what to say. That doesn't sound right, Sarah. You should have a say in your own life. But he says he's just trying to take care of me, that I shouldn't have to worry about decisions because it's stressful. She was wringing her hands, this nervous habit she'd developed over the past year. Taking care of you doesn't mean making every choice for you, I told her. You're a grown woman with your own opinions and dreams. Those matter. We talked for maybe 20 minutes while everyone else was glued to the game. I mostly listened, but I did tell her that what she was describing sounded like controlling behavior, and that she deserved to be heard in her own marriage. Nothing dramatic, just basic relationship advice that any decent friend would give. Update. Some people are asking why I got involved in their marriage. Honestly, seeing someone you care about being slowly isolated and controlled hits different when it's happening right in front of you. Should I have minded my own business? Maybe, but watching Sarah lose herself piece by piece wasn't something I could just ignore. 3 weeks later, Sarah filed for divorce. Jake was blindsided, which honestly showed how little he'd been paying attention to his wife's feelings. Within hours of him finding out, my phone was blowing up. What did you tell her? He demanded when I picked up. Sarah said she needed space to figure out what she wanted, and I know you put ideas in her head. I tried to explain that I'd just listened to her concerns, but Jake wasn't hearing it. In his mind, Sarah would never have left on her own, so someone must have poisoned her against him. And since I was the one she'd been talking to, obviously it was all my fault. My parents' reaction was honestly the part that hurt the most. Instead of trying to understand what had happened or supporting both their kids through a difficult time, they immediately circled the wagons around Jake. Mom called me crying, saying I'd destroyed my brother's marriage and turned his wife against him. You don't understand how hard this is for him, Dad said during what would be our last real conversation. He's devastated, and it's because you filled Sarah's head with feminist nonsense about being independent. Feminist nonsense, like wanting a say in your own vacation plans with some radical political stance. The whole family basically froze me out. Sunday dinners stopped, including me. My cousin's wedding invitation got lost in the mail. Jake blocked me on everything. Instagram, Facebook, even Venmo. It was like I'd committed some unforgivable sin by suggesting that Sarah deserved basic respect in her marriage. For about 2 months, I dealt with the grief of losing my family, over something I still believe was right. It sucked, not gonna lie. There were nights I sat in my apartment eating takeout Chinese food and wondering if I should have just kept my mouth shut. But then I'd remember how miserable Sarah looked, how she'd started apologizing for having opinions, and I knew I'd made the right call. Then yesterday happened. My phone rang around dinner time, unknown number, which I usually ignore, but something made me pick up. It was Mom, and she sounded different, desperate maybe. Honey, we need to talk, she said, like we'd spoken yesterday instead of having 2 months of complete silence. Do we, though? I asked, stirring my pasta and trying to keep my voice neutral. It's about Jake. He's in trouble, legal trouble. The divorce is getting messy, and Sarah's lawyer is really good. He needs help with legal fees, and we've already spent most of our savings. I literally laughed out loud, not because it was funny, but because the audacity was so breathtaking, it was almost impressive. So let me get this straight, I said. You blamed me for his divorce, cut me out of the family, treated me like I was some kind of homewrecker, and now you want my help paying his legal bills? You're still family, Mom said, but her voice was shaky. And you make good money at, your job. Jake is struggling. Update. The legal trouble is apparently pretty serious. From what I pieced together, Jake didn't handle the divorce well and did some things that crossed legal lines. I'm not getting into specifics, but let's just say Sarah had good reasons for getting that restraining order. My parents are facing the reality that their golden boy isn't who they thought he was. The conversation with Mom lasted about 30 minutes, and it was honestly surreal. She kept trying different angles: family loyalty, Christian forgiveness, the fact that Jake was going through a hard time. Never once did she acknowledge that maybe, just maybe, they'd been wrong about me or the situation. He's seeing a therapist now, she added, like that somehow erased months of them treating me like garbage. He's working on himself. That's great, I said, genuinely. But his personal growth journey doesn't erase how you all treated me. Dad got on the phone at some point, and his approach was more direct. Look, kiddo, we can hash out our differences later. Right now, Jake needs help, and you're the only one in the family with savings. The assumption that I'd just fork over money after everything was so typical of how they'd always operated. Jake needs something, so everyone else should drop everything and help. Never mind that I'd been working 2 jobs to build up my emergency fund, or that I had my own goals and expenses. I'm not giving Jake money, I said plainly. Not for legal fees, not for anything else. The guilt trip that followed was Olympic level. I was being selfish, vindictive, letting my pride hurt the whole family. Mom started crying, saying she didn't know how they'd manage if Jake went to jail. Here's the thing, though. I'd spent those 2 months of silence doing a lot of thinking. Therapy, actually, which I highly recommend when your entire family implodes. Dr. Martinez helped me understand that I'd been playing a role in family dysfunction. For years, always being the one to smooth things over and keep the peace. You can't control their reactions, she'd told me. You can only control your response to them. So I controlled my response. I'm sorry Jake is having legal problems, I told my parents. But those are consequences of his own choices, not something I caused or need to fix. But you started this whole mess, Dad said, his voice getting louder. If you hadn't interfered, they'd still be married. If Jake had been a decent husband, they'd still be married, I shot back. Sarah didn't leave because I told her to. She left because she was unhappy and felt controlled. The call ended with Mom sobbing and Dad telling me I'd regret being so stubborn. Classic manipulation tactics that probably would have worked on me 6 months ago. After I hung up, I sat on my couch for a long time, just processing. Part of me felt guilty. It's hard not to when you've been programmed to put family first no matter what. But a bigger part of me felt something I hadn't experienced in months: peace. I texted Sarah later that evening. We'd stayed in touch sporadically since the divorce started, but I'd tried to give her space to figure things out without feeling like she had to update me on everything. Hey, hope you're doing okay. Just wanted you to know I'm proud of you for prioritizing your happiness. She texted back within minutes. Thank you for listening to me that day. I know it cost you your family, and I'm sorry about that. You didn't cost me anything, I replied. They made their choice, and I made mine. Update. It's been a week since my parents called, and they've tried reaching out twice more. First through my aunt, who wanted to mediate and help us all reconcile. Then my cousin called, saying the whole family thinks I'm being too harsh. Funny how quickly the narrative shifted from me being a homewrecker to just being stubborn. Either way, I'm staying firm on my boundaries. The crazy part is how much lighter I feel. For years, I'd walked on eggshells around Jake's moods and my parents' expectations, always being the diplomat, the one who apologized first, the one who bent over backward to keep everyone happy. Turns out, cutting toxic people out of your life, even when they're family, is incredibly freeing. Sarah and I grabbed coffee last weekend. She looks healthier than I've seen her in years. Sleeping better, laughing again, making plans for that Colorado hiking trip she'd always wanted to take. She's in therapy too, working through years of being told her opinions didn't matter. I keep waiting for the other shoe to drop, she admitted over her latte. Like maybe he was right, and I am being ungrateful or selfish. Wanting basic respect isn't selfish, I told her. And you were never ungrateful. You were just tired of not having a voice. We talked for 2 hours, and it struck me how easy it was to have a conversation with someone who actually listened and responded, instead of just waiting for their turn to talk or tell you why you were wrong. My parents have started leaving voicemails now. They're getting more desperate as Jake's legal situation apparently gets worse. The last one from Mom was particularly brutal. She talked about how disappointed my grandparents would be in me for abandoning family in their time of need. But here's what I've realized. Enabling bad behavior isn't love, it's enabling. Jake didn't become controlling overnight, and my parents didn't suddenly become manipulative when his marriage fell apart. These patterns had been there for years. I'd just been too close to see them clearly. I've started building new relationships, friends from work, neighbors, people from my hiking group. Turns out when you stop spending all your emotional energy managing other people's drama, you have a lot more bandwidth for genuine connections. My therapist says I'm making healthy choices, which honestly means more to me than my parents' approval at this point. She's helped me understand that choosing yourself isn't selfish when the alternative is enabling someone else's harmful behavior. Jake's legal issues are his to handle. Sarah's healing journey is hers to walk. My parents' disappointment is theirs to manage. And my peace of mind? That's mine to protect. I don't know how this story ends yet. Maybe Jake will get the help he actually needs and become a better person. Maybe my parents will eventually understand that supporting someone doesn't mean excusing their bad choices. Maybe our family will find a way to heal from all this mess. But I do know this. I'm not responsible for fixing everyone else's problems anymore. I'm not the family diplomat or the eternal peacekeeper. I'm just someone who spoke up when she saw something wrong and refused to apologize for having a conscience. Some people think family means never walking away, no matter how badly you're treated. I used to think that too. Now I believe family, real family, means supporting each other's growth and happiness, even when it's uncomfortable. Sarah's doing great, by the way. She got that promotion at the hospital she'd been wanting, booked her Colorado trip for next month, and started dating a guy who actually asks for her input on where they should grab dinner. Novel concept, right? As for me, I'm planning my own adventure. Always wanted to do one of those cross-country road trips, maybe hit some national parks, see what's out there beyond the family drama that used to consume so much of my mental space. Sometimes, the best thing you can do for people you love is refuse to enable their worst impulses, even when they hate you for it, even when it costs you everything you thought you wanted, especially then.